Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar dedicated entirely to studying art, design, and architecture in France. Today, we have an amazing panel from École des Beaux-Arts Nantes to talk to us about programs offered for international students. Let me just briefly introduce you to our panelists. Firstly, we have Miss Teresa Bogado, who looks after administration and support cell for international students, and Miss Charlotte Esnou, who looks after the international relations. Along with them, we also have an Indian student who is currently enrolled at Beaux-Arts International, and we'll be happy to share his experience with all of us once we are done with at the end of the session. So, welcome Charlotte and Teresa. We are very happy and glad to have you here today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, to begin with, hello, yeah.
Does this sound okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, good.
To begin with, can you briefly talk about the two preparatory courses that you are currently offering at Beaux-Arts International?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having us, and we hope that you're all safe there in India. We've heard that you had a storm or something even bigger than this, so we hope everything is fine for all of you. I wanted to introduce the program, yes, but before we go into detail, I would like to let you all know that we've extended our application deadline and that everyone can apply on our site until the end of June. So there's still time to apply, and the beginning of the year will start on October 8th. So hopefully the borders will be reopened at that time. This was something I really wanted to mention. And I want to start, if you allow me to do so, with a bit of geography, because I know it's quite difficult for people who've never come to France before to also locate us. And if I show you the map, if you see all the map right now, there is Paris here that you all recognize. On the right, on the top right of the screen, and Nantes and Saint-Nazaire are located on the west coast of France by the estuary of the Loire River. And as the name mentions, we are a school with two sites. There is the Nantes site and the Saint-Nazaire site, and they're both located at about 35 minutes from each other. And Nantes is, just to give you a bit of an idea, 2 hours away from Paris with the speed train. So it's a very specific area, very beautiful. We're right by the river, by the beach. This is Nantes that you can see here, and the school is located in a very interesting area of the Nantes city, on an island right in the middle of the city, and it's a former industrial site that was completely dedicated to shipbuilding back in the days. It's no longer, an industrial site. It has been rehabilitated to become a hub for creative industries, and also training and school of art and architecture and dance and music. So it's a very, very abundant and very exciting environment for the students to be in. I wanted to mention that. These are a few pictures from the Nantes city. As you can see, it's a very typical French architecture. There's lots of art, street art, lots of activities all year long, but especially in the summer in Nantes. This is Saint-Nazaire, 35 minutes away from Nantes. It's right by the seaside, so it's a very agreeable also place to live in. Much smaller, but also more convenient and a bit cheaper as well. This is the Nantes building that we've moved into in 2017, so it's quite recent. And as you can see, the architect, whose name is Franklin Azzi, rehabilitated a factory plant that was dedicated to shipbuilding back in the days, and it transformed it into the school that we have today, with lots of space for the students. We have different poles with workshop, dedicated to woodwork, ceramics, movies, photography. We do sculptures, paintings, all these things. So that's a very spacious building and environment for the students to evolve in. This is the Saint-Nazaire building, a bit more traditional. So the important question for those who are listening to us today is to understand what is the program that would suit them the best. And, the first thing that they have to ask themselves, I would say, is that, okay, I'm an Indian student and I would like to come to France to study art, architecture, or design. This is the first step, the first thing. And then if they answer yes to this question, they have three options with us, at least, because there are many more options. But here at the Nantes Saint-Nazaire School of Art, these are the three options that we can offer. And so the first thing to know is that if you want to integrate a French School of Art, architecture, or design, and if you want that the language of training is French, then you have two options. And the first option is if you have graduated from high school and you have already a French language that is A2, B1 level, then, and you want to integrate the first year of a School of Art, Architecture, or Design, then the Classe Préparatoire Internationale d'Art et de Design, what we also call les Ateliers de l'Estuaire, there's a bit of a misspell here on my screen, I'm sorry, is made for you. It's a one-year training program, and I will tell you what it is more in detail in a second. But this is for first year entry level with a language of training that is French. If you already have an education in the art in India and that you've already validated a level of art studies in your own country, well, and your French language level is B1, A2, then you can integrate the programme équivalence with us, which lasts for 1 year, and that will allow you to, that will prepare you to get into parallel admissions, so what we call commission d'équivalence, to get into another level than the entry level into a School of Art, Architecture, or Design in France or in another Francophone country. And there's a lot of the students that we train in that program that integrate the third year directly of these schools, or also the master's level directly after the what we call the équivalence programme. So it's a bit of an upgrading. Both of these trainings are a double hybrid upgrading. First, in the artistic field of your choice, that could be art, architecture, or design. And then the second upgrading that happens at the same time is the upgrading in the French language, which will be absolutely necessary when you enter a School of Art, Architecture, or Design in France. You will have to know how to express yourself in the French language, and especially with the artistic vocabulary to be able to, do your artistic statement and make yourself understood. So these are the two first, preparatory program, upgrading program that we offer here at the Nantes Saint-Nazaire School of Art. And then the third program, I will go into detail a bit more later, is a program taught in English, and that's a double diploma in art and tech in 3 years.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. That was very interesting. Just to sum it up, so basically, if I am a student and I am looking at courses at a bachelor's level, I will have to go for classe préparatoire. Is that correct? And then for masters, it will be program équivalence.
Yeah, if you already have a license or bachelor's or undergrad in India, then yes, you will will come in equivalence program that will prepare you to get in directly to the master's degree program here in France.
Okay.
That will prepare you.
Or bachelor. Yeah.
Okay.
Or bachelor, yeah.
Or a bachelor, yeah. But if you want to get into the master, this is the equivalence program.
Okay. And like you mentioned, there are also French classes. So what if there's a student who does not speak French? Can he directly get into classe préparatoire, or he will need to have basic knowledge of French before getting into the course?
Yeah, we encourage that. I mean, this is recommended really, that the students who apply to our program, even though we know and they know that they will keep learning French very intensively during this preparatory year, they need to already have basics. And this is why we require them to have an A2 or B1 level. B1 is great. If they have an A2, it's fine. If it's lower, sometimes it works, but we really want them to have done classes of French prior to coming here, because 1 year is really short. Even though they will prepare intensively, when they will finally get in the hard school of their choice, they will need to be able to follow as well as a French student. So this is why the language is fairly important. And if they decide to come to us, they should really start putting a bit more effort in their French learning process.
Okay. Thank you. The next question that I have for you is, as the name suggests, it's Beaux-Arts International, so it's a course designed for international students. So obviously there will be students from various countries, various nationalities. What, how culturally diverse is Beaux-Arts International? What percentage of international students do you welcome aboard every year?
So we're very diverse, and this is something that we're very proud of. Saint-Nazaire, is that, well, for example, this year we already have 12 nationalities who have applied to the program, and they are as diverse as, coming from, just to cite a few of them, Turkey, Mexico, Ireland, Iceland, Israel, Cameroon. We have students from the United Kingdom, USA, Japan, Syria, China, Taiwan, South Korea. So it's very diverse. I cannot, it changes every year, obviously. Sometimes we have countries or nationalities that we've never had before. But it is going more and more diverse, which we're proud of as well. And this year will be a bit peculiar because of the COVID situation. But we're also expecting, 15 to 17 different nationalities in our classes.
Right. Okay, moving on. Can you tell us a bit about the admission process for Beaux-Arts International? Is there an interview? Is there a portfolio? What is a typical acceptance, or how to apply?
Okay, I will pass on to Teresa, because she is a specialist in the application process.
Okay.
Yeah. So to get a good application, you have the first thing is to go to our website, nantesinternationalprogram.com, and then you have a link that leads you to the application place. And you need to prepare your portfolio with 5 pages minimum, with a good portfolio. What it is, it's where you show everything you can do, and that you show that you know how to do a project. We're going to talk about that in more details later on. But for the application, so you need this portfolio, the letter of application, a CV, a copy of your passport, and your birth certificate. That's something very important in France, even for the social security process as well. So you need to have a certified translation of your birth certificate. And of course, also a certified translation of your diplomas and certificates, okay, that prove that you went through graduation in India, I mean, or in another country, of course. And also a level in French, as Charlotte told you right before, okay?
Right. So when you talk about translated birth certificate or any other documents, does the birth certificate also need to be apostille? Does it need to have a stamp from the ministry or from the notary, or just translated into French is fine?
When we say certified, it means that you need a staple from a certified translator. But the consulate will help the students with that, to show a list of certified translators in India for French. Okay.
There is there should be a list on the consulate or the embassy website. And we can put that link to.
Yeah.
Okay. And while explaining the procedure, you also mentioned that there will be a portfolio. So can you tell us a little bit in detail, what exactly does a good portfolio look like?
So, as I was saying in the beginning, a good portfolio, I mean, there are many ways of preparing a good portfolio. What is important about the portfolio is that you show different things you are able to do. It's not showing only drawings or only painting. Is that the important thing is to show that you can go through different mediums, you know, different ways of working on art, because in contemporary art, that's very important to change in the schools in France. You know, you have to change the ways you work on the same theme or on the same matter subject. You know, you can go through different ways of doing. So the portfolio must show your way of being diverse, you know, in your creation. Yeah.
Right. So the portfolio is the first step, right? So you submit the portfolio. After that, is there also an interview, or the selection criteria is just the application and the portfolio?
The first step is the portfolio and this application with all your papers, but it's just the first part, and then you have an interview, and that part is very important because we need to know all the way the student is really motivated to come and to really to know each other very well, because we explain as well as it works here, the contents of the training, and everything is very important to see the student, and that the student knows more about the school as well.
Right. Okay. Now, while choosing a school, I think a lot of students would like to know if there are any real life projects, if there are any artists that visit your school, if there are any field visits. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, so during the training, the students will get in touch with many artists, very, very important artists in the French and European scene, contemporary scene. And they come for workshops, you know, and master classes. So they have a theory and practice with this artist, and even they have a really a kind of informal conversation as well with the artists, so that they know more about all the process of what it means to begin and to be an artist. And that's the real important point of our workshops and master classes during the training.
Right. I feel like this is very important because this is something that would help, future artists. It will mold them. And so, yeah, this approach is extremely interesting and important. Moving on, could you give us an example of an art project that your students worked on and how it helped them develop and, practice their skills?
We have plenty of nice projects they had collectively worked together, but I can mention two of them. One in design. It was a designer who came here and made them work in small groups, and they had to really build something in relation with the building itself. And we have a building that is industrial style and everything. We have lots of metal, and it's very high, and then they worked with that. That was really nice. They were kind of scenography spaces. He was specialized on that, and the students had each group. They have 5 groups, 5 different groups, and they had real good projects together. And then they knew how to build something very quickly, because in one afternoon they needed to have the project and to build something in relationship with the building. And afterwards they really used that experience for their own artistic process. And that's the thing, is that's how they can really make part of that group, and afterwards have this time of thinking about the work they did, and how to by themselves independently use, or get inspired of that project. And the other one was one of the projects the students that are going to show you the exhibition, they worked on a very nice project with Valentina, who was doing something with the voice and sound. And it was really nice to see different students from different specialties, like architects, designers, and artists, working on sounds and really this kind of everything was very natural, and she would have them really do some kind of performance with their voices. Then that was really wonderful work, and now you're going to see that later on during the exhibition. Okay.
Yeah. So like Teresa mentioned, we will be having a virtual visit to the exhibition on our Facebook page at 6:30 p.m. So you can just go on the Alliance Française de Pune Facebook page, and it's a live tour to the exhibition. Now, Charlotte, like you mentioned, the 2 courses, classe préparatoire and équivalence, you study for a year and then you apply for either bachelor's or master's. So could you tell us what are some of the schools where your students have gotten admission into after completing these 2 courses?
Right. So the schools that the students get into are very diverse, and we cited a few of them here on the screen. This is not the integrality of the schools that our students have been able to get into, but this is a sample. Your listeners have to know that the insertion rate for the program is very high, and it's 95%. It was last year. It might be a bit higher this year even. And some students decide that they want to do something completely different, or that, they change fields completely. This is why this is not 100%. But, most of the time they get into the school of their choice. And students get into the Beaux-Arts, Nantes, Saint-Nazaire, obviously, because, we are also this is the continuity for some of them. And some of the teachers that they have in the preparatory program, they will become their teacher in the higher education program, in the undergraduate or master's degree program. So there is an obvious link between the two. Then some of our students get into the School of Architecture here in Nantes, which is right in front of us. As I mentioned, we're in a hub of different schools. School of Architectures, in Paris. Perhaps you can, you can speak about the schools more than I do, but that I can. They're private or public schools. The School of Design here in Nantes Atlantique also is very good, and we have lots of students who do the preparatory program at the Beaux-Arts Nantes Saint-Nazaire and then integrate the School of Design.
Yes.
What else?
Also Art Deco from Paris, you mentioned already, from Strasbourg as well. Yeah, I mean,
all of the ones you see and more.
Yeah.
So some of them integrate universities. We have 45 School of Art here in France. So there are a lot of choices for these students. Sometimes they really want to be in Nantes, Saint-Nazaire for obvious reasons that I cited before, because it's a nice environment. But some others don't really mind, where they go. Some of them prefer Paris, some others don't. And sometimes it's by specialty. And also by reputation. So our goal here at the school is to help them also figure out their project and their personal project and the school that will match with them and their personal artistic project and their professional goals. And we'll help them understand also among all the different options that they have potentially. We, with that project in mind, help them succeed for that specific purpose.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to add that we have one of our students from India, Upam Lahkar, that is attending this webinar, and he will be able to answer your questions. He was with us in the preparatory class, and then he entered the school in Licence 1, bachelor. And he's now graduating this year from Nantes Saint-Nazaire School of Art in DNA, the National Art Diploma of Art from France. Yeah, so you'll be able to ask questions that really live questions with a student. It's even better than with us.
Right. I believe apart from these two courses, there's also a new course that you're offering to international students. It's a 3-year international diploma taught entirely in English. So could you tell us a little bit in detail about the same?
Yeah, I won't be able to give you too much details today because this program will start only in 2021. But we wanted to introduce it to you today because, as we mentioned, application can start as early as November. So for a year, they will start in 2001, so in October 2021, you can apply or almost already, like you can apply in November. And so this is why, for this big of a project to come abroad, to come and study in France, and this is something that needs to be thought through, spoken about with parents most of the time and family. So, we wanted to already give you the idea of the double diploma, this new program. And it's very new because also it's entirely taught in English. So there's no issue with the French language, even though French language will be part of the training. You won't escape it totally, because if you are in France, necessary to speak the language and you will need it, even though your classes will be in English. But this idea of the double diploma program came out of a discussion and a willingness of collaboration that we have with the Atelier de Sèvres in Paris. Atelier de Sèvres is the biggest preparatory program for schools of arts in France, and it is they have a lot of teachers that are specialized in new technology and design, and we thought that it was a great complement to our fields of expertise. And so it also came because we realized that we needed to meet a real need for training for a new generation of artists and creators we would need to handle, traditional medium for the arts. So we're talking about painting and installation, performance, and all the things that I cited before, but also with this new tech aspect where, basically artists now we need to know how to paint as well as know how to code and do programming and do like editing for videos and pictures and things like that. So this is really an hybrid double diploma that teaches both sides, the traditional and the new tech, completely in English in 3 years. And it will be the equivalent of a bachelor's degree, but that would be what we call the DNA. So as Teresa said, it's a national diploma of the art. So that will be recognized by the government, meaning that after this you can carry on with you have credits that you can carry on to another school or with a master's degree program in France.
Right.
So this is a bit of a presentation for the art and tech double diploma. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, I think in today's day and age, we cannot escape technology. And so this course is extremely important. So yeah, thank you so much, Teresa and Charlotte, for answering all our questions. Is there anything that you would like to tell our students, any advice that you would like to give before they start their application procedure or before they start doing their research on schools and courses?
Well, perhaps we can, so we mentioned the calendar a bit. So, applications are open, everything happens online. So it's fairly easy to, after you've submitted the application package that was mentioned by Teresa, then you have, you'll do an interview by video conferencing with the team here. And then as soon as you receive your admission results, you can get your visa application ready, and then classes starts in October. And here in Nantes and Saint-Nazaire, we have a team, of people who are dedicated to welcoming international students, so they won't be left alone. This is a strong, welcoming program. We actually got a label for this last year. From the French government. So we help, students search for appropriate accommodation. There's a lot, and Teresa handles that very well with another
Estelle,
of our colleague, whose name is Estelle, and they do assistance with all administrative paperwork, so the visa, entrance, social security when they get here. This is very valuable, and we are able to do this because we are a small size school, and that we've crafted a program specifically directed for international students, but also the value of it, that's because they are mixed with national and international. This is not, a bubble. It's already penetrating the head world. Yeah. So I think for me,
and do not hesitate to contact us, Estelle and I. We are there for you. So that's really important for you to know that you can be accompanied by us anytime, okay? And we'll be more than happy to welcome you here in Nantes or in Saint-Nazaire.
Yeah, which one of the two? I will show you again the pictures.
Yeah, reminding you that Prepar course is in Saint-Nazaire and equivalence is in Nantes.
Yeah, that's a good thing to mention.
Okay.
All right.
One last question before we call Upam. Do students apply directly to the university? So do they contact you directly, or do they go through Campus France?
We can do
both. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As you feel free to apply either on our website or Campus Art. We work together with Campus Art, of course. Yeah. Okay.
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just wait for like 2 minutes. If any of the students have any questions for Charlotte and Teresa, I think we should wait for 2 minutes, see if we get any questions, and then we can move on to Upam.
Siddhi and Charlotte, we actually have a question from Prabhu, who's watching us. And Prabhu's question is, I'm doing my graduation in visual arts and photography. I have been looking for master's programs. Are there any photography-oriented programs at Beaux-Arts International?
You want to answer that?
Yeah, not in photography itself, but you can come for this preparatory class, and then you will be able to apply for Arles, which is a very good school specialized in photography. Or I mean, in Nantes, there won't be a course specific on photography. Okay, but if you have further information to have, you can contact me, and then we can continue answering your question if I did not do it right now.
If I'm not mistaken, actually, to be able to enter the École Supérieure, you have to go through a classe préparatoire and a classe programme équivalence to be able to prepare for those entrance exams.
Yeah.
So maybe for students like Prabhu who are looking to get into an institute which offer courses in photography, it is a good idea also to consider these classe préparatoire and preparatory training courses that will help them reach a course which is more aligned and specific to their artwork and the art that they want to develop. Is this correct? It's more like a question I would like to ask.
Yeah, that is correct, but of course the students can enter directly. It's not the only way of entering the school. Of course they can, if they have the level in French. It's minimum level is B2. So if they have that level, they could apply directly to the schools in France. Okay, I don't know if it was that the question.
But sorry to interrupt, but so Teresa mentions the language level, which is B2, to enter directly into the higher ed programs. But there's not only the French level that matters, it's also the artistic level. And then some of the students are not mature enough, when they want to come to France to integrate directly at school. This is why these preparatory programs are made for. They are an upgrading in both things, the French language and the artistic level. Yeah. They're able to do workshops with artists and, create a personal artistic statement expressing themselves in the French language, so they can, at the entry exam that they will have to go through, or, their application, they will be able to explain why they want to get into this school and have a strong enough application file so the jury will accept them into the school.
Yeah.
So there's two things, So if you feel that you have your chances to do this directly and not go through a preparatory program, then you should try. And I think we encourage students to try both, to have a backup with the preparatory program, but also if they want to, try getting already into the schools, and that's what's happening with most of the students that get into the preparatory program.
Yeah.
They have tried to apply and have not succeeded because they need the specific tools. They need to create a portfolio that will match, the requirements. And if they are by themselves, they're not necessarily, they don't have the knowledge for that prior to getting into the preparatory program. So we're helping them understand also the school, very specific entry exam process that we have here in France.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. And
yeah,
it was just to make sure we don't say it's mandatory to
it's
go
not
through.
mandatory.
That's why
it's not mandatory, but also what's interesting to understand is that the preparatory program are not only for international students.
No,
they're also for national students. And in fact, the classe préparatoire that we have in Saint-Nazaire is for national and international, and the two, all the nationalities will mix. The national students will already speak perfectly French, right? They will go through this preparatory program as well. They will need the help from their teachers and from invited artists to strengthen their portfolio.
And then they have English classes,
and they do having it, and just kind of getting more mature in the artistic practice that they have. And when you go straight out of high schools, you're not necessarily mature enough to understand in which school you want to go, what kind of artistic practice you want to do. And some students have an idea, but this year prepares them and help them also to open up their mind. And that's the interesting side of it.
Right. Prabhu, I hope we have answered your question. Once again, thank you, Charlotte and Teresa. It was very informative and interesting. Before we conclude, I would like Upam to talk to us about his experience a little. Just give me a minute till Hi, Upam, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. Can you briefly introduce yourself to our attendees?
Yeah. Hi. My name is Upam, and born and brought up in Assam, but I studied in the north, and then I came to France in 2016. I joined the program international actually to start with, and then I applied for my licence, which was my first year in bachelor's, and the journey started, I think.
Did you speak French when you applied to classe préparatoire, and what level of French?
I had done my French. I did a hyper-intensive course from Alliance Française in Chandigarh. And I think that helped a little bit, in terms of getting at least the basic grammar part, in place. Yes. But my I couldn't speak French at that time. And the program for me exactly served that purpose of being able to speak French and understand and integrate in the language, because when you join the university in your first year in bachelor's, you are interacting and you're having all your seminars and everything in French. So the main and the entire crux of the program is based out of French. So if you don't know the language, of course you're gonna lag behind.
Right.
So which is why it's very imperative that you know at least at a B2 level of French before joining any classes from the bachelor's onward. You need to have at least, yeah.
Okay, and how did you apply? Did you contact the school directly? And what made you choose Beaux-Arts International?
Well, I did contact the school directly. I found out about the program from basic curiosity and research, because I knew that I wanted to go to France, but the only college I knew about at that time was Beaux-Arts of Paris, because of its all history and reputation. And from there, I found out that I cannot apply to that college directly because, I do not have that basic level of French, and I could not attend an interview in a different language, and they have also an entrance exam. I mean, if you're applying especially for the first year, you have to clear a written exam, which will be in French, and you're competing with the French people, just by the way. So the competition is pretty up. I mean, you are not in your comfort zone, definitely. And then you have if you clear that written exam, you have a drawing exam. And then if you clear the drawing exam, then you have your interview. And this is for your bachelor's or your master's. It goes.
Okay.
That is, I think that's what I prepared for during the first program international. So I realized that in order to get into any university, I had to do my French, and I saw that Nantes Saint-Nazaire was like the only college at that time who was taking foreign students who were not speaking French. I mean, or at least were not speaking French well, or converse. I mean, today is not the same. I can. But I think that journey kind of started back.
Right. So you've been in France for almost 4 years, right?
Yes, I
So
also went
how? Yeah.
I also went to Scotland in between, like for 6 months, and that was also a part of. So once you're into the program, you can also apply for Erasmus grant from within the college, and in fact, Beaux-Art also paid for my tuition fees and stuff when I went to Scotland as well.
Okay, that's nice.
I was in the Glasgow School of Art and Beaux-Art.
Yeah.
Ended.
So how has your experience been for the past 4 years at Beaux-Art International?
Well, first of all, it's not Beaux-Art International. That's not the name of the college. It's called École Supérieure de Beaux-Arts de Nantes, Saint-Nazaire. And Beaux-Art International is just a small program in École Supérieure de Beaux-Arts de Nantes. So the international part actually takes care of students who are like Teresa explained tout à l'heure, that it's more like people wanting to integrate into the French community. So that's what Beaux-Art International is. But it's a small part of the voyage. It's like the springboard where you kickstart your journey. And after that, I've been a part of the Beaux-Art as in the college. And I think that has been more of a roller coaster ride for me once I got into the Beaux-Art, because I remember you initially mentioned in the conversation about meeting with the artist and what's the link with the current artists. I would like to again mention that our professors themselves are practicing artists, and a lot of them are also very actively frequenting museums and all. So they're curating shows in museums, they're exhibiting in museums, uh, Europe, USA, Australia. So they are pretty active in the scene. There's some people I can name like right out of hand. Like there's Stefan Tide, who's another very reputed artist, part of our faculty. Damien Cardio, a painter, a very reputed part of our community. Charlotte Moth, contemporary installation, contemporary artist, part of our uh, faculty. We have Xavier Vert, who is another theoretician, art historian, very reputed in France, part of our committee, like faculty. So we have access to all these professors. We don't go by they don't take you by the hand. I mean, in the sense, when I say that, we don't serve you a meal saying that, okay, this is what you're going to eat today, this is what you're going to eat tomorrow, this is what you're going to eat day after. It's a very open-ended approach where you bring your curiosities with you. So, I mean, you can be interested in physics and still continue doing art. And it's up to you how you incorporate this physics in your art now. And your professors will be there to guide you in terms of references, whom to follow, what's the latest thing, what has affected in the past, which has led to the current ideology or the way of seeing or perceiving something. So, but at the end of the day, you are the one who are taking all your decisions. You make your decisions, and the teachers and the places there just to facilitate you, help you. Yeah.
Right. One last question before we conclude the session. Since Upam, you have been through the application procedure, portfolio making, so do you have any advice for the students who will be applying soon?
Well, I think Teresa said most of that part of I mean, because there is no one unique formula formula for a portfolio. It really depends how you, what is a portfolio? I mean, I'll just give a small basic outline. It's basically a sort of, you're trying to present who you are. So to somebody who doesn't know you. So who are you? I mean, in a very simple term, you can be someone, I mean, who can be multidisciplinary, or could be in a single medium, or could be also in the theoretical part. So it's up to like photography, for example. I heard that there was a student in photography would want to add something down there. So we do have photography in school, but that's once you enter into the bachelor's or the master's program, not in the program international properly per se, but we do have one inside the school. We have a department that's dedicated to video and photography.
Right.
And okay, coming back to the portfolio bit, it's about you introducing yourself. So it can be, there's no limitations to that. I feel just feel free, feel liberated, and just don't overdo it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Upam, Charlotte, and Teresa. This was a very informative session, and I hope our attendees got what they were looking for. And now we can go to our Facebook page and see the virtual exhibition. So you can go on the Alliance Française de Pune Facebook page, and we will be there soon. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Right.